Hello everyone, welcome back to the Cozy Soul Knitting Podcast. This is episode 24. If you're new here, hi, welcome. I'm Saoirse. I'm a knitter from the greater Seattle area in Washington State, and this podcast is a pretty traditional, regular style podcast where I talk about my finished objects, what I'm currently working on, and future plans and acquisitions. If you end up enjoying this podcast and you're not already subscribed, I hope you will subscribe and also give this video a thumbs up if you do end up enjoying it. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me again. I hope I can hang out with you while you're knitting, keep you company while you craft and all of that. So let's go ahead and get started. I do kind of want to just give a little bit of an update. So I've been trying to, and I mean, I think I've only done this like twice, but I was trying to kind of do like every 2 weeks, post on Friday. That was like my schedule that I was getting into. And unfortunately, when I got back from Nashville, I was sick. I got sick, picked something up at the airport or something, and came down and started feeling really awful like the evening after I got home. And I'm still a little sick. I don't know if you can kind of hear it, but yeah, I'm not fully back to my normal healthy self, so there may be some parts where this video is like awkwardly cut because I had to like cut out me coughing a bunch and stuff, so I don't want to make you all suffer through that with me. So I'm gonna cut out as many gross noises as I can. But yeah, I went to Nashville for my friend's bachelorette, and she had a really great time, I think, so that was good. But I definitely realized that like, well, we just mostly were like hanging around the Broadway Street area, so that's probably not like fair to assume that all of Nashville is like that. But like fiber or something on my stuck in my lip balm. Probably not fair to assume that all of Nashville is like that, but it's definitely not my scene. And I don't know if maybe that's why, because only 2 of us got sick, which was weird. I was like, how did we all not, like we were all together the whole time. So not sure why only 2 of us got sick, but I was kind of wondering if just being in a place that's not really my vibe kind of lowered my immune system or something. So but yeah, I mean, it was still fun, and the food was definitely the highlight of the trip for me. Like, I didn't really care about going out and partying and stuff. I mean, I did it. I rallied for my friend. But yeah, I just definitely realizing that's not my scene anymore. But the food there was really good. So at least there was that. Anyways, if I seem like really low energy or anything like that, it's just because I'm still recovering. But I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to say before we actually get into the knitting, and I don't think there is, so let's go ahead and do this. So okay, so let's start with what I'm currently wearing. I think I mean, this has definitely been on the podcast because I knit it, like pretty much all of my knits have been on the podcast. If it's a garment, it's been on the podcast because I didn't start knitting garments until after I started my podcast. So yeah, so this has definitely been on the podcast before. It is the NAiMA Pullover. It's a pattern by ANKESTRiCK. Apologies if I'm not saying that properly. And I knit this in Malabrigo Rios. And I want to say that the yarn colorway was Reflecting Pools. That's just like off the top of my memory though, so I don't know if that's right. I will have it linked down, or not linked, but I will have it in the description box, like if it's the color name in the description box is the correct one. I will have done the research on that. So yeah, it's a top down. I think, I don't know if this would be considered like a mock neck or like a funnel neck or like, I don't know. So it has this kind of, you know, mock neck, turtleneck situation. And then it has eyelets that go down, and there's some raglan increases, but there's also increasing throughout the yoke as well, so I'm not really sure what that construction would be called. Maybe I will put it on the screen if the pattern said, like if I go back and look at the pattern and see what it describes itself as. But yeah, I knit this. This is like my second ever sweater, I think, that I casted on. I don't know if I finished, I don't know if it was like the second finished sweater, but it definitely was one of my first ever sweaters. I think it turned out pretty well. It definitely needs maybe a little bit of depilling, but hopefully the camera's not like picking that up too much. But I think like kind of on the underarm section it could use a little bit of depilling, but I don't think I've worn this a ton, honestly, especially not like out and about, just because for a while there it didn't fit super well. I've lost some weight since I knit it, and it now fits, I feel like, in a way that I personally like. When I first knit it, I felt like it was just a bit too tight on me, and I wasn't super comfortable wearing it. And I also really wasn't a fan of the neck, because I think just like it was a little tight around the neck, and now it's loosened up a little bit. I think maybe I've lost a little bit of weight in my neck maybe, and so it just fits better. I think I like it a little bit better now, and it's kind of growing on me, so we'll see how I feel when I'm editing this video, if I'm like, ooh, I really like it, or if no, because ever since knitting this I've kind of stayed away from these types of necklines, but now I'm like, do I actually like it? Maybe I'll knit more of them. I don't know what else to say about it. Definitely recommend it. It was a really fun knit. The pattern is one of those patterns where I feel like I guess if you think about like a petite knit pattern, it's not like that. It's less wordy, and in some time, I think because when I was such a beginner knitting this, I found it, I wished it was a little wordier. I wish it had a little bit more to it, but if you are someone who likes a little bit less in their patterns, this might be a designer to check out if you haven't already. I feel like it was overall a pretty straightforward pattern. I mean, as a beginner, the eyelets here kind of tripped me up a little bit, but I think if I were to knit it now, it wouldn't be an issue. Okay, I'm gonna move on. Since this has already been on the podcast, I probably don't need to talk too much about it. So I'm gonna move on to my first finished object, which is actually it's my only finished object, and this was actually finished last time, but I just forgot that I had it. Like, I thought I had already talked about it as a finished object, but I had not. So it's my Regency romance doodle. I feel like am I holding it up? Like, I feel like it was upside down. Yeah, okay. To me now it's upside down, but to you guys now it is correct. So this is the romance doodle, Regency romance doodle, sorry. This is a pattern by PacificKnitCo, and I knit this in some yarn that was a kit from Moonglow Yarn Co. So they collabed on this, and I did knit some of it while watching Bridgerton season 3. It definitely took me longer than a season though of Netflix to knit this, so I don't know what else I watched while I was working on it, but anyways, at least I got to knit on it while watching Bridgerton, which was kind of the vibe that I was going for, was like wanting to knit the Bridgerton themed knit while watching Bridgerton. Okay, anyways, I love the yarn so much, and one thing, I've talked about this a lot already on the channel because it's been on a few different episodes, but I do want to mention specifically, I tried to steam block this, as some of you maybe remember, and it didn't work out. Like, it didn't really do anything, I found. And then I was a little nervous to like block it because of that dark blue. I was like, what if it bleeds? It didn't at all. It was totally fine, and I wish I had like before and after pictures. Just my tension relaxed so much with a good block, and I don't know if you can kind of see, like, it's a lot more drapey. Yeah, it just turned out so well, so beautiful. I feel like the motifs just look so much better because like everything kind of evened out, and yeah, I'm really happy with it. I'm so glad that I picked up the yarn kit for it and did it. And I have a good amount of yarn left over in some of the colors, so may have to use those in future doodles. Maybe kind of with all my leftover doodle yarn, I can kind of put together my own little color ways and themes and stuff and make my own. That would be really cool. So like, you knit a tube, right? You're knitting in the round and you're just knitting a long tube, and then you seam it together. This right here, between the top hat and this motif here is where I seamed it. I feel like I'll just get up and show you. So that's where I seamed it. I feel like, you know, you can tell, like, if you were to see, I mean, it's probably showing on camera to you, like you can definitely tell probably that that's where I seamed it, but from afar you cannot really tell. So I think I did a pretty decent job of it. So yeah, you just graft it together. The tricky part for me was when you're done grafting, I was like, how in the heck are you supposed to weave in your ends? Because you've already closed the tube, so where are they supposed to go? And I couldn't for the life of me find a tutorial on how to do it. Nobody actually showed how they were just like, oh, and then you just weave in the end. And I'm like, yeah, but how? Like, so I kind of just, I was very careful to not lose my needle in the tube, but I just kind of stuck the needle in with the tail and then kind of wiggled the needle like through the tube and pulled the needle out, but like left the tail inside. Like I was very careful not to let the tail, like I kind of threw the tube, like I felt through the fabric to like pull the needle, like the thread out of the needle before taking the needle out so that the end would stay in. And I'm like, that's not super secure, I feel like, but hopefully it won't matter. But yeah, if you have a tutorial that shows, like if you know of one that shows what to do when you're done with like grafting a tube together, let me know. I just, every tutorial I was watching, they just kind of gloss over that part at the end, and I was like, no, but that's what I need is how do I weave that in a secure way? So anyways, I'm gonna put this on, I guess. I just wanna show you guys what it looks like. I don't know, for me it's gonna be getting used to this and not feeling like I have one of those neck casts around me. I think like this is something where I'd want to like style it like with a coat kind of a thing, not just like this, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. But it's really cute, it's so cozy. I'm really looking forward to snuggling up in this when it gets really cold, and I can just see myself, like, you know, when you're inside and then you have to go out to your car that's been like sitting outside for a while and it's gonna be really cold, and especially those of us with like older cars that don't heat up as fast, I'm just like, I'm gonna be like putting this on and just being in the car like, okay, like I'm ready. So I also feel like if my face is cold and I have a hood, I can just really snuggle up. So yeah, very, very exciting. So that's my Regency romance doodle, and it's perfect and I love it so much, and can't wait. It's not cold enough, I feel like, yet to wear this, but I'm sure it will be soon. So that's my finished object for this episode. And like I said, I don't have any more fully finished. I have some that are so close, and the knitting part is done, but the finishing touches are important enough that I can't call it a like finished object. So I'm going to show you some whips that just need a little more finishing, and then they'll be done. So the first one is my sturdy and, wait, what is it called? It's the Sturdy and Cushy Kindle sleeve. And it's a free pattern on Ravelry. I want to say the Ravelry username is like Studio Knits like 885 or something, but maybe I'm wrong. So it'll be on the screen and obviously it'll be linked in the description, but this is my Kindle case and it's not finished yet because it doesn't have the button. I just haven't sewn the button on. So what happened was I got it finished and blocked and it dried just in time for me to take it on my trip with me, because I switched my Kindle from a case that had like a cover for the screen to one of these clear ones with the stickers. because my other case was starting to get frayed at the edge and I just didn't want to deal with it. So, by the way, this is the book I'm currently reading. It's one of those books where it's like I'm having a good time, but I don't know if there's a lot of telling instead of showing, and that's bothering me a little bit, but at the same time, like, I'm very invested. So let me know if you've read this. Anyways, I just thought I needed to address that since it's on my Kindle. If you have any fantasy romance recommendations for me, please leave them in the comments. I feel like I have been in the biggest reading slump of my entire life and I really, really need some good, I want a good, solid fantasy romance with really good world building, really amazing characters, a really good, like, romance, like, hopefully slow burn, nice spiciness sprinkled throughout the series, and just, like, ends in a really satisfying way. If you know of any, let me know. Obviously I've read, like, ACOTAR and Fourth Wing and all of the, like, super popular ones, but if you have any gems that you found, let me know. Anyways, I needed, on my trip, I did not want to travel with my Kindle without having something to protect the screen, because I don't have anything on it. So I wanted a cover that would protect the screen. And also the yarn that I used for this, just by the way, it's from Quarter Cakes. I believe she's a hand dyer based out of Portland, Oregon. And this was the colorway 2 scoops, and it was their DK base. So I just had a skein of it and didn't know what I was going to do with it because I've already knit a hat out of this, out of another skein. So it's perfect for this, and it's beautiful and I love it. And this way too, it's like I get to see this colorway more often, which is really exciting. But yeah, so okay, that was what I was trying to remember where I was going with this, and why I didn't have the button on. So literally day of my flight, right, like I took it off the blocking mats and put my Kindle into it because it just wasn't quite dry the night before, so I couldn't sew the button on. And then obviously when I got back from my trip, I came down with something and I just haven't sewn the button on. So this is the button. Just kind of, sorry about my nail polish, by the way, I really need to redo it. Don't focus on that, focus on the button. But yeah, so it'll go somewhere here, and then this thing, you know, will go over it. So that's my Kindle case. I feel like I talked about the pattern a lot already, but one thing I did want to mention is when I blocked this, I did pin it pretty aggressively to make sure that it would fit my Kindle. It was something where it was like I could definitely put it on my Kindle, but it was tight, and so I just wanted to make sure. And then I also really aggressively stretched the flap because the flap is not getting stretched out when the Kindle is in the case. So it kind of goes in here, and I wanted to try my best to prevent that. And so I really, you know, really stretched it and pinned it in place so that it would be the same width. And it kind of worked, it kind of didn't. I wouldn't, unless something happens to this one, I really don't see myself knitting another one of these. But if I were going to, I almost wonder if I could like cast on an extra stitch here to get it to be a little bit wider so that it matches the width of the case when the Kindle's in it. But if your Kindle's a little bit, you know, smaller, or you cast it on enough stitches so that it didn't have to stretch over the case, you probably wouldn't have that issue, but I didn't do that. So, because it was working out for me. So I think that is everything that I need to say about this, but I really love it. Highly recommend the pattern. There's a couple, I don't know if I would say, well, yeah, I guess errors in the pattern. There's one section where you, like, the directions tell you to do something on the wrong side row, and then the very next step is also on the wrong side row, even though now you're on the right side row. So I don't know, I can't remember exactly what I did there, but I feel like it was just easy to just kind of like do whatever and then get back to the wrong side row to do the next step. So that was, you know, just like little errors like that, but it's like a free pattern. I don't think it was test knit, so like I don't think that's a big deal, but just something to note if you do end up knitting this. But yeah, so very excited with how it came out, and I will show you guys again when the button is on. So my next whip, again, it just needs a little bit of finishing. I need to block it and seam it, but the knitting part is done, and I gotta make sure that I am showing you the right way. Oh no, my battery. How is the battery already? I feel like I've just been talking for like, okay, that's a lie. I had to go change the camera's battery, so yeah. Okay. So my next whip, again, is just one that needs just a little bit of finishing. The knitting part's done, but I need to block it and then I need to seam it. So it is the Coastland Cowl. This is by Anina from Annie Knits. I hope I'm pronouncing her name properly. But yeah, this is the cowl, and it'll be seamed and it'll go around like this. So I don't know, I remember seeing the cowl pattern on her podcast and I really liked it, and then I was looking at what I could use this yarn for because I had some leftovers. This is the yarn that I used for my Lanark. It is Pearl Soho knitting yarn, and the colorway is a Lark Brown. So yeah, it's gonna get seamed right here after I block it, and then it'll be a cowl. So yeah, it has these like lacy shell details there, and other than that, it's just like garter stitch for the most part, and there's like some shaping to kind of create the edges, and then I think, let me see if I can remember. I think yeah, this right here, sorry, oh my gosh, if I hold it up this way, this bottom section here is where you like cast on this way, I think, yeah, and then you work up, but like then there's some shaping to get this corner like this, and then yeah, so you're kind of working up and over. So yeah, it was a really fun knit. I actually casted this on after my last podcast episode because I wanted some plain knitting. I kind of figured that while I was on the plane I would want to do some knitting, but I figured like something that was just stockinette like in the round would be a little too boring, and I kind of feel like, I don't know, I needed something a little more engaging to take my mind off the fact that it was a long plane ride, long for me anyways. It was like 4 hours, I think, so that's not super long. I've been on longer, but you know, it's still a long time to sit and be bored. So yeah, so I thought this would be a good pattern, and it was perfect. It was exactly what I needed, and it was just so much fun, and just, yeah, it was perfect. So if you need some travel knitting, or you just want an engaging knit, I would definitely recommend this pattern because you have like the lace, but then it's also not one of those patterns where you have to like, you know, as you're knitting the row, like keep glancing to the pattern to see what you're doing. Like it's, you know, you kind of just see what row you're on, you're like, okay, this is that row, and then you just go and you knit. So yeah, I don't know, I really liked it. Highly recommend, and I'm very excited to start the Coastland shawl. I do have yarn left over from another project that I'm going to use for that shawl, and I'm very excited. I don't know when I'll cast that on, but hopefully soon. But yeah, so that's another whip that close to being done, but not quite. Also, I still have another skein. I have this much left, and I still have another skein of this yarn. I weighed my first, because for this I used the leftovers of another skein that was partially used, and then this is what's left over of like a full skein. And I did measure like the grams, like I weighed the grams of the first one, but I already cast on, so I also weighed, like I need to figure out how much the needles weigh and subtract that, and then just see if this is enough, because like I was kind of thinking about knitting this again as a gift, and I was also thinking about potentially gifting this, but we'll see, because I kind of really like it. So, but I also kind of wanted to gift it, so we'll see. But if I can make another one, then I will, like, yeah, I could gift it and keep one. So we'll see if I have enough for that, but if not, I was thinking I could try and find like a hat pattern for this yarn to use up the rest of it and then be done with that yarn, which would be exciting. I'm not gonna be showing my leaf cardigan today because I still need to block it and then figure out where the buttons will go and then do the button band. I'm really hoping it'll be done for next podcast, so that's something to look forward to if you've been waiting for me to finish that, because I've been waiting as well. I guess I'll just randomly, oh, this is a good one to talk about. Is it? Well, I'll quickly go through this. I want to say that I had this done already in the last podcast, but I did cast on, it's inside out. I cast on the second sock, and as you can see, I'm knitting the color work inside out. So that was a tip from my knitting friend. I'm calling you a knitting friend. I don't know if you would consider us to be knitting friends, but Amanda, she let me know that I should try knitting inside out for colorwork socks to avoid getting the kind of puckering at the edges here. That's kind of what that looks like in action. And just a little shout out, if you ever see a comment from Amanda, or I think her handle is Megan Shines, so if you see that that name in a comment, I would always recommend that you read her comment because she always has the best tips and like really great information, and I feel like I've learned a lot from her. So when you see her comment, like pay attention because you might learn something too. But yeah, so thank you again for that tip. It has been a game changer for sure, and I am enjoying it. Oh, one thing I will note with this, so if you recall, I talked about on my first sock, I did full twisted rib where I was purling through the back loop as well as knitting through the back loop. I was gonna mimic that on this sock as well, so they matched, and it was just so gross. I think I purled through the back loop like for like 8 times, and I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. So I ended up just doing half twisted rib, and honestly, it doesn't really look that much different, so I don't know. I mean, I can probably, like, you can probably tell the difference, but like from like afar, no one's gonna notice, so I don't care. I just did half twisted rib on that second sock, and it was fine. I feel like I've talked about the socks so much already, so I don't want to, like, if you're new here, it feels like probably I'm glossing through it and not really spending enough time talking about it, but if you've been watching, you're probably glad that I'm not going too in depth on it. So my next pair, so I finished the first sock. I haven't cast it on the second sock because I'm gonna finish the Blooming Lavender. Oh my gosh, and did I even? The yarn and pattern info will all be in the description box, so if I did skip it, like I just did with the Blooming Lavender socks, which by the way is patterned by Stone Knits, and I'm using Knit Picks Stroll Fingering yarn, all of the information is gonna be in the description. Anyways, I want to finish those socks before I start the second sock for this pattern, but I did finish my first sock of the Coral Cove socks. This is a pattern by Yarnia Designs, and I am obsessed. I am beyond obsessed. Don't let this fool you. Like, I'm sick, so I can't muster the proper enthusiasm that this pattern deserves. This is so gorgeous. This is one of my favoriteest patterns that I think I've knit. Like, if I had to choose in my top 5 patterns, like favorite patterns I've ever knit, I feel like this has to go in there. It's so much fun. It's one of those popcorn or like potato chip knitting things where you're like, oh, I'll just do one more little thing. And it's so gorgeous, so beautiful. I don't know if anyone else feels the same way, but this design, the texture on it, it just, I don't want this to come across like weird or like, I don't know. It's very feminine. It's very feminine, like the pearl bump and the lace, it's just so feminine, and I love it so much. I don't know like, yeah, just sometimes I feel like it's weird to describe, like people get kind of weird if you describe things as like feminine or masculine, because like a man can wear this too, I recognize that. Or if you're, you know, someone who doesn't identify as feminine, you could still wear this, obviously, and you would look great in it and it would be amazing. But there's just something about the texture of it, the pearl bump and the lace, that I just feel like is just feminine, and I love it so much. And then of course the colorways are beautiful. So the yarn that I'm using is from Moonglow Yarn Co. Do I have, yeah, I do have more yarn. I acquired more Moonglow Yarn Co. yarn. Definitely one of my favorite hand dyers for sure. So Whitney, if you are watching, just, this is so beautiful, and I love your yarn so much, and I can't get over how beautiful your colorways are. I can't. And yeah, I posted a picture of these socks on Instagram, and the designer commented and said that she's working on a similar design, or like a design with like the same like texture and stuff. I don't know what it's gonna be, but I'm very excited. I can't wait to see what it is. I think I looked at her Instagram to see if she had like posted it, and I don't think I saw anything, but maybe I missed it. I don't know. And I haven't been on Instagram in a while, so maybe she has posted something. I need to go look. But I just hit myself in the face with the sock. I'm so excited to see what the new pattern will be, and it's probably going to be something I will knit, absolutely, because I love the texture of this. I just loved it so much. I don't even know what else to say. It's just so beautiful. I knit the size, the first size. I'm not sure if my gauge was right or not, because I did not do a gauge swatch. But I think it'll fit. This looks like the same size as my other socks. I think the only thing to mention about this is that the heel was different than, like, if you're used to doing, for example, for your vanilla socks, if you also follow the Crazy Sock Lady vanilla sock pattern for your vanilla socks, the heel is like, it's a slip stitch heel. I think it still qualifies as a slip stitch heel, but it's just done differently. And that was it. It was interesting. I wasn't really sure. I was like, am I doing this right? But for all sizes, it says to knit the same length. And I thought that was a bit odd, because then when I went to go pick up the gusset stitches, there were too many of them. And so, I mean, I just didn't pick up all of them, but I was like, I don't know. And I think it's fine. I think on one side, it's a little, like I could have picked them up a little bit more evenly. So I don't know. I just thought it was like a little weird, but it was interesting to do the heel a different way than I was used to. So, but I think I could personally, and I'm, you know, not the most experienced sock knitter, but I think you could easily just do whatever heel you wanted to. I don't think that you would have to do it this way. So if I were knitting these again, I might just do it the way that I'm used to, but yeah, it was fine. I'm so excited to have a finished pair of these. They're just so beautiful. And did I already mention this, that I think this would make such a great scrappy project, because if you just, you know, you could, yeah, oh my gosh, yeah, so if you're, I mean, at least for the length that I did, you're only repeating the colors 3 times. And then obviously like the main color is repeated a lot more. But like, yeah, each of the accent colors, the contrast colors, are only done 3 times on my size. And then so that would be 6 total. So, but yeah, you could add more colors so that they repeat less if you didn't have enough yarn, and I just feel like it would be such a great scrappy project. And you could also even like not do a main color. I don't know how that would end up looking, but like you could use scraps for the pearl bump sections as well, and it could just be very, very scrappy. So I will definitely be knitting this pattern again with scrappy yarn once I have like enough that I feel like go together. But oh, and then the other thing is I have been carrying, I've just been carrying the main color throughout the sock. I didn't ever cut it. And then I wove in the ends of each color as I went, and the pattern, did I say this in the last podcast episode? I don't remember. I'm sorry if I'm being repetitive, but the pattern does give you multiple resources to, like, links to tutorials on how to weave in your ends, and you can just pick the one that you feel like will work best for you. And I personally followed the one, it's a video by the Crazy Sock Lady, and she just shows you how to weave in ends as you go. And I just made sure that I was only weaving, obviously I just didn't cut the yarn for the main one like she does in her tutorial. You could cut the yarn if you wanted to, I thought it would be easier not to. I'm keeping these in a project bag that my mom crocheted, and then she added a liner. I think I've maybe shown it on the podcast before, but I just think it's really, really cute, so. Okay, my next project, I have a lot to say, so bear with me. I hit a little bit of a snag. I got so nervous because I had these needle stoppers in this project bag, and they're really dark, and so when I was looking inside, it just looked like they were one thing that was just really dark, and I was like, is there a huge ass bug in this bag? Because I did knit outside for a little bit yesterday with this project. My Faye summer top, let me grab all of it first. I'm going to show you what I have, and then I will kind of explain. This is where I got to, just the back panel, still working on the back panel. First of all, I do want to say I did get a recommendation for another way to do baubles. It was for the way that PacificKnitCo does it in her, I think it's the love letter top. And she has a tutorial for that pattern, and there's a section for the baubles. I did watch that and I did try it out, and for this pattern specifically, in my opinion, I don't think that it created the best bauble. It was, let me see if I can find it. It was really small, like so small, it's like you can't see it in this pattern, and so I didn't think that, oh yeah, it didn't really work out for me. I don't know if there's a way to do it how she does it and make it bigger, like maybe if you did, because the way she does it, like she's doing yarn overs and then knitting into the stitch again, so I don't know if maybe you just added more yarn overs, you could make it work, but I don't know if you guys can see there's a little tiny bobble there, and it's just, in my opinion, it's just a little too small for this pattern, so I did want to update you, update the person that commented that, because I did try it, and I found it in some ways to be an easier way to do baubles, but also what she does at the end to like secure the bauble, that was a little finicky for me. I think it would definitely work really well for some other patterns, but for this one I think it was like too small. Maybe there's a way, I don't know, maybe there's a way to make it bigger, but I'm getting ahead of myself. The baubles are, I will come back to the baubles. We'll talk more about the baubles, but I was just, I don't know if you guys experience this sometimes as well. Sometimes when I'm knitting things and I feel like my knitting isn't looking very neat, I kind of start to get into a bit of a perfectionist mode, and I get really annoyed and I get really like frustrated with my knitting when I feel like it's just not turning out the way that I want. And this is 100% bamboo yarn, or rayon from Bamboo, and it's the line brand Trubu. And by the way, this is the Faye Summer Top by Irene Lynn, in case I didn't say that. This yarn is not as forgiving as wool, so it shows every issue with your tension, and I just felt like it was, I felt like it was looking very messy, and I feel like now that I've had some space from it, it's not that messy. Like, yeah, there are some parts that could look better, but the deal breaker with this was really just that it was hurting my hands, honestly. working with this yarn. It's very slippery and I was just not enjoying it and it was really hurting my hands. And then I also was just, none of the bobbles were working. I just didn't like any of them. Some of them I liked how they looked, but I was having trouble with them. Like it would take me forever to do the bobble because it was like, this yarn just has no elasticity. It's just, it was a struggle. And so I didn't want to give up on this pattern because it's beautiful and I really do want the finished object. And I'm also knitting this with, it's a little unofficial knit along that I'm doing with Faith and Jenny. I will leave their channels linked down below. And I know Jenny's version is also in it's not the same yarn, but it's also a rayon, 100% rayon yarn from Bamboo. So, I mean, she was able to make it work. Hers looks great. And it's not that it's like, I think this would turn out fine. I think some of it would block out maybe a little bit. It wouldn't be super noticeable. Yeah, I was just getting really frustrated with this and it was hurting my hands. And so on one hand, maybe I won't go back to it, but I might leave it and try and go back to it and see if it's any better. And if not, I'll just rip it out. I'm not a fan of this yarn and I don't think I will ever purchase 100% bamboo yarn ever again. I think bamboo, if it's combined with something else, it's a totally different knitting experience, but this is just not fun for me. So I didn't know what to do because I really wanted to keep knitting this, but I didn't have any yarn that I could use that I liked much better. I did knit a swatch with Lion Brand Kobu and it's definitely a better knitting experience, but I was still in kind of a perfectionist state of mind and it just wasn't, I don't know, I was just like, I don't like how it looks, like it's still not perfect. And I was still having trouble with bobbles, so I didn't go with this option, even though now after the fact I'm like, I actually might knit the same pattern with this yarn. I had ordered some yarn for a different project. It came in the mail. I feel like I'm so monotone and tired, I'm so sorry. It came in the mail and I didn't really love the color for the project that I bought it for, and it looked a little, it was obviously the color, like I held it up to my monitor, I'm like, this is definitely the same color. It just for some reason in person isn't what I wanted. Even though it didn't really look that much different than on my monitor. So like, this was just like, I don't know, seeing it in person I was just like, never mind. So this is, I'll talk about it more in the acquisitions, but I did order some good wool from Pearl Soho. This is the color Apple Cider, I think. And yeah, when it arrived, I was like, oh man, this just isn't what I wanted. I wanted to knit a Kadri pattern. I'll put it on the screen, I forget. I don't really know how to say it. It's like the Syrian sweater, I don't know how to say it. And I was gonna knit with this yarn, but I don't know, I just got it and I was like, I don't want a whole sweater in this color, like I don't know. And now that I've been working on it though, I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't actually mind that. It's very fall. I like those types of colors. And I'm actually have another cast on that's also orange and fall, and it's a little more pumpkin-y orange. So it would have worked for that sweater, but I don't know, just for some reason I was just like, at the time I was like, no. But then I thought like something with texture might look a little nicer with this yarn. And so I cast on again for the Faye summer top, but this time I'm using wool. And you know, tension issues will block out a lot better. There's just not as many to begin with. The bobbles are way easier due to the more elastic nature of wool. So I've just been having a much better time with this. It's been a lot of fun. I actually am looking forward to knitting on it. So, and instead it's like the Faye summer top, but like the autumn version. Because it's in wool and in this autumn color. So it's gonna be really, really nice, really beautiful. I'm very excited for it. I'm having so much fun with the cables and the bobbles and the lace. And One thing that I realized while knitting this was I did try to do the crochet, like half crochet bobble stitch thing with this yarn. I still was having issues with it. I just trying to pull the yarn through like 7 stitches with the crochet hook was just not working. I just like, I couldn't get it to work. I don't like it. It's very frustrating. It's just not my vibe. And so I did, and I had been trying to do this type of bobble on my, oh god, on my original version, but it was still really too tight and I couldn't make it work, and it was not much better than trying to do the crochet version. So I will leave the video link down below, but there's a tutorial by Caitlin Hunter on how she does bobbles without a crochet hook. Basically it looks, I feel like, pretty much the same, but you're just not using a crochet hook, which I enjoy. And I did it with this yarn and it was working a lot better, but also I realized part of the issue that I was having with the bobbles when I was trying to do it with this method was I was holding the working yarn way too tight, and that's why it was having so much trouble pulling the stitches off and over the needle. So I think I could actually do that same technique with this yarn. I just need to not tension it so tightly. So that was a little bit of a mistake. So part of me is like, now that I have the bobbles down, I think I could go back and do this. But it was still, even without the bobbles, even when I was on the rows without the bobbles, it was still hurting my hands a little bit. So I don't know, I may just rip it back and use that yarn to knit like something a little bit more basic, like a Tolsta tee or something like that. But I am loving this version so much more. It's so much more fun to knit, and it's also, I feel like, gonna be more seasonally appropriate. So that's my Faye summer top, and I'm excited that it's kind of back on track, and I'm having just so much fun with it. It's making me want to knit more textured things. Let's switch gears to color work. So my next whip is my framed pullover. This is a pattern by Andrea Mowry. It is the Rhinebeck sweater this year from her, and this is where we're at. So my color work tension before blocking isn't the best. I knit two-handed color work, and yeah, my tensions are just a little bit different. But I don't have any doubt that this will block out beautifully, but I do feel, and it's really scrunched on the needle, so it is really difficult, I feel like, to actually see the motif. Maybe on the viewfinder I can kind of see, like, tell. But in person it's like I can see it, but I'm like, it doesn't look great. So, but I know it'll block out. I feel pretty confident in my color work abilities when it's just something like this. So when we get to knitting, when I get to like split the panels and have to knit color work flat, that's gonna be interesting. Never done that before, but anyways. So yeah, this is going well. It's a little slow going. I mean, I didn't have the opportunity to work on it much over the past 3 weeks. I feel like I've been not reaching for this, so it just hasn't been growing super duper fast. But the other day I was working on it and I got quite a bit of the color work section done for like what I have. I think I was like only a few rows into the colorwork section, and then I think the majority of the colorwork section that you see I did in like a day. So I feel like that's pretty good progress for a day, and I wasn't spending a ton of time knitting that day, so I feel like this will work out fairly quickly. I mean, I'm not in a rush to have it done. I'm not going to Rhinebeck. I don't even know when. Rhinebeck's like soon, right? It's like very soon, isn't it? But anyways, so I'm not in any rush to get this done or anything. I mean, I want it for, you know, I want to be able to wear it. I'm very excited to wear it. So in that regard, like, yes, I want it done, but you know, it's okay if it takes me a little bit because it's a very enjoyable knit. So sorry if I'm kind of rushing through. I mean, I'm not trying to rush. I'm just feel like there's I don't know, for some of the projects I feel like I just don't have as much to say. Colorways for the yarn that I'm using will be in the description. Two of them are the the Spinster's Daughter, which is the collab between Spin Cycle and Farmer's Daughter. It's their worsted yarn, and then so there's two of those colorways, and then the Spin Cycle Dream State, which is Dirty Little Secret. I do know that one. So that's my framed, and really enjoying it. I mean, I love color work. It's probably one of my favorite types of knits. All that to say, I just really I'm really enjoying that pattern. And I feel like I can kind of speed through it because I just casted this on like a couple days ago. It doesn't look like much, but as you can see, another orange, and this one is like way more pumpkin-y. So I don't know, I don't really know why with that other yarn I was like, I got it in the mail and I was like, oh, I can't use this for a sweater, and then I literally cast on a pumpkin. Like this yarn is literally, the colorway is called pumpkin. This is going to be the Sunset sweatshirt, which is a design by Jessie May from Jessie May Designs, and the yarn is Patton's Classic Wool worsted in pumpkin. And the other orange yarn is like more subtle. This one is like, this is pumpkin. So when I'm done with this, if I look like a pumpkin, that is entirely on me. I'm just hoping it'll be a cute look and not weird. I'm just imagining, like, I don't know, I'm trying to imagine myself in just like this like pumpkin orange sweater and just all this just orange. I think, yeah, I don't know, it'll be cute, I think, hopefully. Anyways, so this is worked top down, and you do the back panel first, and there's some shoulder shaping, which I've never done before in this way. So it's interesting. I'm excited to see how that will fit. Like if I'll like that fit better than like I think this is like a drop shoulder. So I don't know. We'll see how I like it. I don't know what else to say about this. I'm not very far on it. I still have a good portion left of the back panel to knit. Oh, this pattern, I was a little confused when I was reading just the Ravelry details. It wasn't really clear to me. So it kind of says, like, where it has the sizing information, it says that if you have basically if you have a fuller bust, like if your full bust size is, you know, quite a bit bigger than your upper bust, that you should do bust darts. But it didn't really, the way that it was phrased, like it was unclear if the pattern included bust darts or not, and I don't know, but it does have them, so that's really exciting, because I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll just try it out and see if I can figure it out myself if it doesn't have it, and if it does, great. But I was very happy to see that it does include the bust darts for you, so you don't have to like try to figure that out on your own. So I picked, as the pattern recommends, I picked the size based off my full bust measurement and then went down a size, and then I'll be doing the bust darts for that size. And I'm hoping that it'll fit really well. So I don't know. When I saw this pattern come out, so like some of the samples for this pattern were knit in the Spinster's Daughter part of, I think, the Driftwood collection. I think that's what it's called. And it was like this beautiful like olive green, and I even saw it at Flock and I was like, oh, like I want it, but I didn't get it. I didn't do it, and I'm glad, but also at the same time, like I'm like, maybe I should still try to get my hands on that yarn if they still have it available. It's so beautiful. But I don't know. I had this yarn in stash. I bought it fairly recently from Joann's, I think, and they were having a sale, and I picked up quite a few skeins. I think I have like 10 skeins of this, and didn't know what I was going to use it for, and I really was in the mood to cast on something that I could work on while reading. So just some plain stockinette to knit on. I mean, doing it, like, obviously can't read while doing like short rows, because I need to be like paying attention, but knitting back and forth I could probably get away with while reading. but I think I'm just gonna wait till this is like joined in the round and it's just stockinette, but or just, yeah, stockinette in the round, but yeah. I just was like, I really am in the mood to, so I read a lot of fantasy romance, right? And sometimes in fantasy, it can be harder to get into with all the world building. And other times, I don't know, even with like other books, like sometimes it just takes me a while to like connect to the story or to the characters and to like actually care what's happening. And so when I'm able to knit and read, it gives me something to like, it just gives me longer to get into a book because I have like something to do while reading. So if like I'm not immediately immersed into the story right away, it's okay. Versus if I don't have knitting while I'm reading, I sometimes just like, it takes me just so, like I'll like read a chapter and then be like, okay, I'm kind of not really invested yet and I kind of just want to like go to sleep. So if I'm knitting, I might read like 2 or 3 chapters and then by the 3rd chapter I'm like, oh my gosh, now I'm hooked and now I like, you know, am really into this book. So I like to be able to have something to work on. Sometimes I use like my vanilla socks, but other times I don't. I want like bigger stitches. So yeah, I don't know, kind of just depends on my mood. But anyways, very excited for this, but that's why I cast it on. It wasn't really a plan. I was like, I need a plain sweater so I can just knit. And I was first trying to find some yarn that was like a pattern for like some DK weight yarn that I have in stash, but I just wasn't finding anything that I wanted to do with that yarn. And then I was looking for this yarn and I immediately saw the sunset sweatshirt and I was like, oh my gosh, yes, that will be perfect. Even if maybe I look like a pumpkin, it's okay. Those are all my whips that I wanted to talk about. Yeah, I have, you know, I have my leaf cardigan and my Musselburgh hat, but I just haven't made a lot of progress on those, and yeah, I don't really have anything to show you. So let's switch gears to acquisitions and future plans. One thing I wanted to update you on that I've been talking about for a while is casting on another mini mock neck tank. I did a gauge swatch and I didn't hit gauge with the yarn, and then I went up a needle size and still didn't hit gauge with this yarn, which is Knit Picks Muse. And yeah, so I need to do another gauge swatch and I just haven't gotten around to it. So that's still in the works, but I really want to make sure that I'm on gauge with this pattern because I am going to be knitting a size smaller than the previous one to see, yeah, to just see if it fits better. It's kind of an experiment. So I just want to make sure I have proper gauge. So I've been actually doing the gauge swatch and actually blocking it, which I don't always do. So, but yeah, eventually we'll get that casted on. I think my next kind of upcoming cast-ons will have to be the mystery knit along shawl, the Go Go Dynamo, because that's gonna start very soon. And then I do need to get working on some gift knits. I decided that this year I'm not going to try super hard with gift knitting. I really tried last year. I remember I hurt my hands and it just, I don't know if I could really argue that it was worth it. Like, it was really nice to be able to gift things to my family that I made. I feel like I got off track from a lot of my projects and then hurt my hands, like, not like a lot, but just like, you know, I had to take a lot more breaks to kind of rest my hands. And I just want to do that this year, so I'm kind of limiting myself to 2 projects. I'm going to knit my brother-in-law socks because he keeps asking me for socks, or keeps being like, oh, you know, it's my birthday, or like, oh, you know, are those socks for me, kind of a thing. So I'm gonna knit him a pair of socks, and then I'm gonna knit my sister a pair of socks, and everyone else in the family will just have to wait for next year. Although I don't think my brother wants any, well, I think there may be like one project I might knit for my brother, but not anytime soon. And then I don't know, I just knit my mom random things here and there, so I actually have some things I could gift her for Christmas that I already knit, but I already like showed it to her, so I'm like, that's not exciting. But we'll see what happens. Mom, if you're watching, well, honestly, you've seen everything, so you might not remember that you've seen it though, so just pretend that you haven't seen anything that I end up gifting you for Christmas. So first I will share, I had three skeins of this, which one's already caked up obviously and I'm using it. This is the yarn that I ended up using for my second version of the Faye summer top. This is again Pearl Soho Good Wool and the colorway is Apple Cider. And I've knit with this before. I knit the Prism blanket, which is a Pearl Soho pattern. I knit one for my dad, and so I've worked with this yarn before, enjoyed it. I do think it definitely, I think it's maybe technically a sport weight yarn, but it blooms a lot, so they kind of consider it to be a DK weight. So I just wanted to get some DK weight wool because there's some, I don't know, I feel like I'm lacking DK weight wool in my stash, like kind of. And I just wanted to get some yarn for some sweaters that I can knit this, like, you know, coming up pretty soon, that are DK weight. So it's kind of, Pearl Soho was having a sale and I kind of went for it. And then I think actually the reason I was looking, in the first place at the sale was to get this color, which is, again, still good wool. It's the Driftwood Gray. I have some leftover colors of from the Prism blanket. By the way, in case I'm not saying prison, I'm saying prism. And sometimes, because, you know, I'm from the Pacific Northwest, sometimes we don't enunciate certain things, so I just want to be clear, I'm saying prism. I've had that happen before where I was talking to someone like in person and I was saying prism and they were like, wait, prison? And I was like, no, prism, prism. So yeah, I had some leftover colors, like yarn from that, and I was thinking it would be really great to make my dad, again, not for Christmas, this will just, maybe it'll be for like Father's Day next year or his birthday, or just a random gift at some point. But I was thinking of making him a matching pillow. I'm gonna do the Stella cushion. Stella quilt cushion? What? Is that what it's called? Yeah, I think so. Anyways, it's the pattern by Laura. It's the pattern by Laura Penrose. You know which one I'm talking about. It's so beautiful and everyone's knitting it. So this was the main color. Or this will be the main color, and I'm going to use some of the purples and golds from the Prism blanket and use it for the quilt, or for the cushion, quilt cushion. And I'm really excited for that. I want to cast it on soon. I don't know when I'll actually get around to it though, realistically. But I do want to do it soon because, yeah. But I just thought it would be a great way to use up the leftovers and or at least some of the leftovers from that blanket, and then the pillow can go live with the blanket. It'll be cute. And yeah, so then I kept staring at another color. This is Loganberry, fresh Loganberry. I think I'm saying that right. I don't know what a Loganberry is actually, but I assume it's this color. So I got, am I missing one? I might have left one in my stash. I can't see. I have 4 with me, but there might be a 5th one, I can't remember. Or maybe not, maybe it's just 4. But yeah, so this is gonna be the main color for the Care sweater. I think I'm saying that right. I always want to say Cur, and I know that like that's not right. It's the Care sweater, right? Patterned by Rebecca Clow, aka the Crayabea. I've been wanting to knit it for a while. I think I own the pattern already, and I saw that color. It kind of reminded me of a sample that I had seen that I really liked. So that's the main color. And I am nervous because this one's undyed, so I'm a little nervous if this will bleed. I should be a good knitter and do a gauge swatch and have both colors and oh gosh, I just hit myself in the... I keep hitting myself in the face with my yarn. I will test this out, but hopefully it'll be fine. But this is gonna be the contrast color. I don't know. I feel like my brain's not working. This is Heirloom White. I think it's undyed. And I also think that the Driftwood Gray is also undyed, just in case you were wondering. But yeah, so the Care sweater. I've been wanting to knit it for so long, and I just never got yarn for it. They also sent a little mini skein just as like one of those free like gift with purchase things. It's their quartz yarn, which is 65% merino wool and 35% Surrey alpaca. So I'm just gonna hang on to this because I do have plans to do, I think I've talked about this, the Stella quilt, Stella quilt blanket. Why am I getting confused on those names? I feel like I've seen everyone talk. I feel like I should know these names because like everyone's knitting these patterns. Anyways, but I'm thinking like I'm just gonna hang on to a lot of my mini skeins as I'm figuring out which colors to use, because I kind of want like, I want one really similar to Laura's sample. Sorry, my phone is making noise. Laura's sample is like the rainbow one where like each motif is a different color in the rainbow, and so all of the solid like mini skeins that I have, and maybe even a few variegated skeins if they're kind of mostly one color but just like different hues of that color, I want to keep for that blanket. Maybe use them, maybe not, but I figure this will be good for that. So that was kind of exciting. And I mean, you all know I love this color, so it was like, how did they know? How did they know to send me this color, which is golden green, by the way? But it's like the person packing my order like knew. I mean, they didn't. It's just a nice synchronicity. But the next yarn that I got is for the Go-Go Dynamo shawl. I feel like for some reason I'm having a really hard time saying that quickly. So I was originally just gonna buy one of his kits, but I don't know, I didn't love any of them. Like none of them were really speaking to me, so I kind of just put together my own, and I think it'll work. The hand-dyed yarn wasn't exactly, I mean, obviously it's not going to be exactly what's pictured. I feel like it was a little bit more, had a little bit more, and maybe once it's caked up it'll look different, and working with it will look different, but I feel like the picture of it had a little bit more color to it, but I think it'll still work. So I decided, I was kind of like, I didn't know if I wanted to go like super bold colors or fall colors. I decided to go bold colors. So this is what I got. I kind of made my own kit. So the highlighter pink is from Cascade Yarns. It's their heritage wool, and I believe, what is the colorway? I think it is called highlighter pink. But it doesn't have the name on it. Why did they do that? On Wool & Co.'s site it said the name, but it's color 5789. Anyways, but it's like the highlighter pink. Really, really pretty. And then to go with it, I bought some Farmer's Daughter fibers yarn. This is their Foxy Lady base, which is 70% superwash merino, 30% silk, and this is A Case of You is the color name. And it just, oh, it's very blown out on camera, but it has, I don't know, you can kind of see, it has like pink and there's I think some yellow in there, just like speckles. So I think it'll go well with this, and obviously, I mean, I don't know what the shawl is gonna look like, so we'll see if it works, but I just kind of followed what his kits were, but just like with colors that I liked a little bit better, if that makes sense. So he had a lot of kits that were like 2 solids in like a, you know, a darker or a deeper or more saturated color, and then a lighter, like there was a lot with like a lighter, like kind of speckledy colorway. So I feel like this will work. Very, very excited. I'm gonna try to get a gauge swatch going for that project in the next couple of days. It's currently, I think it's the 26th today. No, it's the 25th. And I think it starts October 3rd, I think is when the clue comes out. I could be wrong, don't quote me on that, but I think that's what I remember. And I want to be ready to cast on as soon as the clue comes out, and hopefully stay as, I mean, it's okay if I get behind. I don't want to take another full year, almost full year, to do the shawl, but if that's what happens, that's what happens, and it's okay. I have another acquisition that, so this is technically not an acquisition. My mom bought it for herself, for me to knit her something, which sometimes she does that. I didn't get a say in it this time. She was just like, you're doing this, and I was like, okay. So my parents go down to the Oregon coast quite a bit, and they usually pass through Astoria, and then they usually text me when they arrive in Astoria or when they get you know, to where they're staying. And this time around they stopped in Astoria for dinner, so they texted me like, hey, we're here, you know, we made it. And I was like, oh, you're in Astoria. And I was like, how close are you to the new yarn store that just opened up there? So Ocean knits Ocean Fibers, so I think her brand is Ocean Fibers. I think she goes by Ocean Knits on Instagram. I could be wrong, but I think so. Anyways, but my mom went to Ocean Fibers store. I think it's fully open now. When my mom was there, it was like their soft open, I think, which I knew because I was on Instagram and I was like, oh, they're having a soft opening this weekend. And then my mom just texted me that she was there, and I was like, how close are you to this store? Please go get me some yarn. And she picked out this for herself. It's a little, it's a DK weight set, sock set type situation. I believe this was dyed up for flock because the colorway is, or the set is called Oh My God, It's a Flocking Rainbow. So I'm assuming that was for flock. It's a little blown out, but it's like this really pretty purple solid, and then a contrast color little mini that is variegated. My mom wants me to knit her a hat, a colorwork hat with this. I think I found one, and for the life of me I cannot remember. I picked one out. I finally found one where like the yarn amounts would work, and I can't remember what it was. So if I can find which one I decided on, I will put it here, but that's what I will be knitting her. I don't know when. I told her, I'm like, I have no idea when I'll be able to cast that on for you, but I'll try to get to it sooner rather than later, but it's definitely not gonna be a Christmas present. And then I'm really sorry about the noise. I'm not gonna take this out just because it's just a nice way to keep these all together. And I don't think there's any labels on the actual yarn, so I don't want to take this out, but I did get this set. It is the Rainbow Fade set, and it's their sock merino base, and it has all of the colorway names on the packaging, so that's why I don't want to take it off, because I don't want to take them out because then they're not, yeah. And anyways, I don't think that they're actually in order. I think they've kind of rolled around a little bit, so I might have to guess on some of the names, but I'm sure I could also look it up on their site as well. But anyways, this is the Rainbow Fade set, and I saw it at Flock, and I didn't pick it up because I, wasn't sure. But now that I'm definitely doing a rainbow Stella quilt blanket, I think that these could work for that. But also I was thinking, if I don't use that, or if I don't use these for that, I could use this for my own Stella quilt cushion, and have like a pastel rainbow one. So, because I do have the rainbow advent calendar from Moonglow Yarn Co. But I need more than just those colors. Like, I'll need, because like each motif will have a few different colors, but like all reds and all oranges, but like different ones, if that makes sense. So I might need this for the blanket, but I also might not end up, I might go ahead and do the Stella quilt cushion with the pastels, just because I think it would look really cute. So my next set of acquisitions, this is the Woodland Witch set from Moonglow Yarn Co., which I'm like having trouble holding it up. These are the contrast colors, at least for like the set that I got. I got the shawl kit, and oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to look up the pattern name because I forget, but these are the contrast colors, and this will be, I guess, like the main color. This one is Burnt Hollow. The other shades I don't know off the top of my head because they don't have labels, so I think if you want to know what they are, I would look at Moonglow Yarn Co.'s Instagram. But yeah, so but yeah, I mean, look at the greens. We know. I love good green. So and I really do like green and purple. I try to avoid like Barney green and purple, but that's actually still really, really beautiful. So yeah, I love like greens and purples together. I just feel like they complement each other really well. So this set, I was just like, I can't miss out on that. Like, they're so beautiful. Battery is dying again, so I'm gonna go change that. But yeah, and then it has this really beautiful brown and white. So I'm gonna set these down. I'm gonna change the battery on my camera, and then I will talk about the pattern that I'm gonna do for this. Okay, so that yarn, I am going to be knitting. It is called the Wood Witch Wrap, and it's by Rachel Keener, who is Paisley Pearl Yarn on Instagram. When I saw all of the texture in this wrap, I was just like, yes, I have to knit it. Because I was kind of, I really liked the colors in this collection, and I was kind of like, I don't know if like, obviously I could always do a doodle cowl with it. But I do have already two doodle cowl. I have the ocean doodle cowl I still have left to do, and then the autumn doodle cowl that I want to bring back out and finish this year. And so I didn't want to have two like Halloween themed doodle cows, so I was like, I don't know what I will knit with this, but I really want this yarn. And then I saw the wrap and I was like, oh my gosh, that's perfect, that's beautiful. I'm really loving texture at the moment, like, yeah, and this has all these different, sections of like different textures, so I'm really excited for it. I need to cast it on soon, and I feel kind of, honestly, like I feel overloaded with accessories. Like, I'm gonna have the cowl shawl, I'm going to have the wrap, I have an autumn doodle cowl, I have, I have like socks, so many socks to knit. I have an abundance of knits, so I really shouldn't let that stress me out. It's a good thing. it's something to be grateful for. But I'm also like, shoot, maybe I need to pick and choose a little bit. But I'm just very excited about all of these. Hopefully I can get some things cast on soon and get some other things off my needles to make space for them. But yeah, I feel like I'm kind of in my accessories era, which is weird because I feel like for a really long time there all I wanted to knit was sweaters. And I still do want to knit a lot of sweaters, but also like, I don't know, there's so many fun other things to knit too. So I'm just, I don't know, having a good time with it. I think that's where I will leave this. I don't really have much of a life update. I'm just trying to heal from being sick, trying to get better, and like rest and rejuvenate from my Nashville trip. Again, the kind of traditional style bachelorette trips where, you know, you're drinking and partying, it's not my scene anymore. I feel like it takes so much out of me to try to, you know, keep up that like energy and stuff, and so I did my best, but it took a lot out of me, and I'm not really surprised that I got sick, to be honest, and I'm glad that I've just been able to relax and feel better. Hopefully by next podcast I will be back to normal and can get a little bit more knitting in. I had some days where I was just feeling so sick I couldn't knit, which I feel like that's when you really know you're like real sick. It's like when you can't even knit. I don't know if there's anything else to really update you on. I'm really looking forward to just getting back into a routine once I feel 100% better and like get back to writing and knitting, and we'll get back to posting every 2 weeks on Friday for this knitting podcast. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope I was able to keep you entertained while you were knitting. Please do let me know what you're working on. I actually do really love hearing what projects you're working on because I'm nosy, so let me know. Like, I'm not just saying that, I genuinely want to know what you're working on and how it's going. And yeah, if you have any fun, exciting, upcoming projects you want to share about, I would love to hear. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're feeling very healthy and energetic. I hope no one's sick like me. But if you've also been feeling under the weather, I hope you're getting lots of tea and all of the cozy vibes. Yeah, hope you're doing well. Hope your knitting's going well. If you liked this podcast episode and you're not already subscribed, please make sure to hit the subscribe button before you go. And if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. And yeah, thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate you, and I hope you have a great time with your knitting. Have an amazing rest of your day, an amazing rest of your week whenever you're watching this, and I will see you in my next podcast episode. Bye!
Alright, this is a song that I wrote about falling too fast, but I wouldn't know anything about that.
I don't wanna lose my grounding, so you catch me not responding, and I press my lips together so you don't find any answers.